Here we go.
Oh,
Welcome.
man.
Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
Where are you coming to us from?
I am in beautiful Glenmont, New York.
Nice.
It's right outside Albany. Funny enough, Albany's where when Coheed first signed to a label, it was a tiny little, I mean, it wasn't tiny. It had Converge and Saves the Day. Like the Equal Vision had a footprint, but 6 people worked there.
Right,
It was
right.
in the back of the owner's house in a shed. That was the record label, and that was an Albany label. But we had all kind of met in Woodstock, New York, which when we were teenagers, that was a real beacon to artists, and especially wrapped around Woodstock 94. It was just like, bands would come through and like music was really alive there. But I moved up here like 15 years ago and I really love it here. I'm kind of in the country, close enough to Albany that it's small enough city. I'm not like a New York City guy. I'm a country boy. Woodstock is country. It's farms, it's cows, country boy through and through. But yeah, anyway, long answer, Glenmont, New York.
When you guys signed to Equal Vision, was Ray Cappo still there, or he already got rid of it and moved on?
I don't know.
What about
I don't remember.
Dan Sandshaw?
Oh, no, that's who signed us. That was the only guy at the label that wanted to sign us.
I love Dan.
No, it's funny how all stories, they become like malleable over time.
Yeah, they just shed
And
yeah.
And it's been a long time, but the real story is it was Dan Sandshaw who kind of championed and cheerleaded for Coheed and Cambria because it was a flippin' weird band, dude. Like even Equal Vision was like, maybe, but they said no at first. They came to see us. They booked us a showcase. It was a 16-year-old's birthday party, and we walk in and it's like a label showcase. The last thing in the world we expected it to be was a 16-year-old's birthday party. And we got beards. We're like 20, so we're old to them, and we don't know anybody there. It's not a 16-year-old we know. It isn't our cousin. We don't know these people. And we get up there and play, and the whole party just leaves, and it's just like 5 people from Equal Vision watching us.
That's so funny.
No way.
It was horrible. We didn't bring a sound guy. We thought they provided a sound guy. There's no sound guy there. So my brother did sound. It's like his first time ever doing sound. He's like, I think I did pretty good. It's like, oh my God. But yeah, they said, and this isn't to disparage the guy. He'll remain nameless because he's a really nice guy. But it's famous in our group. He famously said, we did not bring the rock. That's what he said. He said, we can't sign these guys. They don't bring the rock.
Wow. That's a great line.
I know. We love that because he's right. He's also a really nice guy. And you know what? He probably wasn't wrong. We did not bring the rock that day at the 16-year-old's birthday party.
Yeah.
With your
My brother doing sound.
Hard to really like rock out when you're scaring the kids,
Yeah.
Yeah. I do labels know that? How weird that is for a band?
I don't think they do.
Oh my God. It's brutal.
Showcases in general are the worst thing I think I've ever been a part of. We did a few, and they stick out of my head as like some of the worst moments of being in a band ever. Because they bring in a few people and they're like, all right, now bring the rock, and you're like,
yeah, all right, gentlemen, bring the rock. Yeah. So like energy wise, it's just like completely benign, and then you're supposed to what? Like this thing that
win them over.
Yeah, but this thing that comes out of you, like I hope at its best, it's a real thing. It's a real energy exchange with the audience. I think we're supposed to fake it right here for you and do all those kind of like, here's the front man, like, how you doing out there? Like, there's no one out. What are you talking about? So we just kind of played our songs. We were definitely green. We were, like any band, like we hadn't really toured before. We hadn't done anything before. We were just a band.
Yeah. What initially grabbed their attention about the band? They like coming out to that show, or they're doing the thing with them.
So it's a really funny story. Like I'm in this band as a teenager, 13, 14, 15 years. That's how I know those guys. Their band, Claudio and Travis and Mike Todd, their band would play with my band. And my band signed to Universal when I was a teenager. I got to finish. Yes, pretty Doug Morris, the president, signed the band.
Holy shit.
Whoa.
And I got to finish high school at the studio. I like the whole nine. Like it was a pretty big deal. It's cool. So, and I kind of get chewed up and spit out by the major label machine before I'm even like 20 years old.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Signed, money dropped. No one will return your calls. And I quit that band. And I'm kind of just like, I'm done with music. Fuck it. Am I allowed to curse? Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Fuck
Oh, all right. Well, yeah. Fuck
You're
it.
good.
Okay, fuck it. And then I get a job, and I'm like working at the PBA, and like I'm making decent money for a kid from Kingston, New York, that doesn't have any skills other than he's like a mildly decent drummer. And I get a call from Mike Todd, and he's the bass player of Shabuti, he was called at the time, but Coheed. And he says, do you want to play with us? And I'm like, fuck, man, I have to do this band. I love it. I love these dudes. Like, you know, when you're young, you think things are the way they are. You don't have like the miles in your life yet to understand how much things change.
Yeah,
for sure.
And like, I'm not the drummer of that band. That's my friend's band. And now all of a sudden they don't have a drummer and they're asking me to. I feel like, not to sound super cordy, but I do feel the hands of something.
For sure.
Just like,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
guiding things. Yeah.
I was done with music, dude. I was like, I'm done. So I joined that band, and not more than like, I don't know, 2 months later, I get this call. I'm working and I'm at work in my suit. It's the illest job ever. We would call people's houses and solicit money for the cops. We're just like smoking weed and like eating pills, like all fucked up in there. Oh, dude, that's what sucks. I'm mad at how good I was at it. I'm upset that I was this good at it because I can be manipulative over the phone. I don't have all the shyness and weirdness. I'm over the phone. I can be whoever I want.
Sure.
Yeah, you're
I
like,
put on accents. I will say I was young and naive. I did quit when I realized that we were taking advantage of people. But at the time, I'm making $1,000 a week in 1998.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I was rich.
That's
dude.
insane money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more money than my dad ever made. I thought
Yeah.
I was a big shot. And I also met the dregs of society that worked there.
Yeah.
Worst people on earth. Like the guy that sat next to me, Brian. And literally we just sit there smoking pot all day, calling up, pretend. The whole trick is this is awful. And I'm aware that this is awful. You trick people into thinking you're a cop, but you can't say you're a cop. So
Right.
you say things that kind of.
Shit.
While you're
So
smoking
let's
weed,
say I was calling you, Nate. Say,
Yeah, let me hear.
hey, you can be like a little forceful, like
Yeah.
prickish, but not prickish. So if I'm calling you, here, ring, 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 answer, Nate. Ring,
Hello?
ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Nate.
Yeah, what's up?
Nate. Hey, Josh Eppard, Kingston Police.
Okay.
Yeah, PBA. Me and the guys were over here at the office. We said, you know what we got to do? We got to call Nate. I did. I told him. I said, I'm calling Nate. We wanted to get this started off with somebody that we know we can count on their support. And I know that's you, Nate. You don't want to let me and the guys. They say things like me and the guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Damn, dude.
Yeah, they think we got nothing better to do than sit on the phone all day. That right there kind of like illustrates
you feel
that like
bad.
you're an officer.
Yeah.
The fucked up part is that the cops are in on it. And the cops end up there's a great documentary on HBO.
Yeah, I've
right
seen
now
that.
about-
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's me. That's what I did, except I wasn't getting $8 an hour. That was in the city. I got 25% of whatever you gave. And
Whoa,
there's people that would give thousands. And I got, it's awful. I'm a kid, dude. I'm 18 years old. I got my suit and tie on and I'm good at it. And I did it for like a year plus and was like,
Just bang.
it started to become clear. This is predatory.
Oh, yeah.
I got all my friends' jobs. Dude, Travis from Coheed was driving, picking up the donations for us. Like we had, like, and all of us were like, this feels like maybe it's bad. Like, and whatever. But anyway,
Wait. So did you have a moment where you just decided it was morally not the best thing to be doing, or was it because of the band and the momentum you got?
no, it was a moment. This little old lady who you didn't even have to push. She'd give you $5 every time.
Oh.
And I kept noticing her card kept coming across my desk. And, this is pre-internet. This is how I'm a fucking old motherfucker. And I was like, yo, this lady already gave. And the boss was like, yeah, she'll give every time. And I said, yeah, she just gave. It's $5. Like, she's on a fixed income.
Yeah.
Like, come on, what are we doing?
Yeah.
So I throw it out. 2 days later, her card comes across again. And I realize that they're just like, she
Don't care.
forgets and they're just, they don't care at all. And then the guy that sat next to me, he'd sit on the phone all day with a woman. It's so dark. She's waiting for her husband to die of cancer so they can take his money and run off together. But he's just been like an alcoholic to the utmost. And just he would come into work drunk and like try to fight me or try to fight people. We beat him up, sit him down.
Dude.
Then he would come, say sorry, and get back on the phone.
Wow.
I mean, it was fucked up,
That's
dude. It was really ill, dude. Oh, there's people having sex in the bathroom. No, it's like, and you're friends with these people, but they're all degenerate.
Wolf of Wall Street.
It was like the most ghetto, third-rate version of Wolf of Wall Street. Yes, when I watched that movie, I was like, that's kind of like what we did, except not really, but kind of like theirs was like, yeah. I don't know how. Anyway, so I'm working this job and I'm actually making money, but Mike calls me and I'm in this band, but it's a weekend warrior band. We rehearse on the weekends. Oh, we have a show at this fucking sports bar or whatever, like a band does that's not a touring band. There's no labels. There's no albums. We're just a band that have a love for doing it. 2 months I'm in the band, something like that, early on. And I get a call from somebody I never met. And they say, our drummer passed away. We want you to come and do this tour with us. I'd never been on tour. I'd never realistically imagined myself on tour. My whole life was in the studio making records. That's kind of how I was raised. It was fuck touring. And it was wrong. My whole life has been the opposite of what I was told as a young man. The managers in my life would say, fans aren't important. Touring's not important. Wow. Yeah, all that matters. Yeah, this is a verbatim quote from my manager when I was 16. Fans aren't important. Touring's not important. All that matters is the perfect demo. Wow. Right? Because he lived in 1981. I know. So, but I don't know that at 16. I'm a kid. I'm like, hey, man, like, this guy also is like our hero. And again, he's going to remain nameless because like, I don't want to. But that's what he told me. And it's been really like validating to me that my whole life was built upon, great, I did the exact opposite of what you said. And it worked.
And it worked.
But I think the music business, that might have been true at one point. The perfect demo to land like 1981.
In the world where sales were like the thing, or like, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. Like bands like maybe from LA, it's like right now we don't tour and hemorrhage money. No, we build up a thing in LA. We make the perfect demo. We land this monster record deal. You know, in the 90s, they're handing out record deals that are just, the money's through the roof.
Well, I feel like touring back then too wasn't like the whole like punk rock 300 days in the van thing was not. I mean, those, if you look at like even the like big bands in the 90s, it'd be like world tour, and you look and it's like 14 dates. You're just like, what?
That like, is what it was.
I know bands that do 14 shows. When we were a kid, we do 14 shows in 2 weeks. Like,
14 shows meant 2 weeks.
That's funny. So I wouldn't know though. That's how foreign it was to me. Touring was not a part. I didn't come up in this like punk, as you say, band in a van world. So the idea of touring, but I just joined this band with my friends, Claudio, Travis, and Mike. And I'm getting this call where they really make it sound amazing. They're like, we're going to play with, and then they just list every band on Warped Tour. Now I have no knowledge of this. So I think we're going to be friends with Green Day. We're fucking hanging out with No Effects. I don't realize we're going to play the Ernie Ball stage on Warped Tour. Back then it was at the parking lot. You know, but they really, and we're out on tour with a band they're a Chicago band called Show Off that were on Maverick Records. They were like, clearly Maverick thought they were the next Blink-182 and had pumped all this money into this band. But, you know, a tour, but we were playing, you know, I think the whole tour we probably played to 100 people. There was maybe 4 people there a night. But I didn't know that before that. So I have to go to Claudio and Travis and I have to say, hey guys, I know I'm the new drummer. And again, I'm coming to them. Their band would open up for my band when we would play up here by us. And we were on a major label. We're all big fans of each other. Like the band that I was in that I left, when I joined Coheed, we still shared a rehearsal space with my old band. My brother, it's the band 3. Coheed has brought them out on tour with us a bunch of times with their new drummer. It's all very inbred. We're all friends. It wasn't like I split from this band and it was like, screw you guys. No, we're all very like intertwined. It's a weird thing to tell your brand new band. We're just kind of learning each other. Hey, I got a call from another band. I'm going to split for 6 weeks and go out on tour. But I told Claudio, I said, the only reason I'm doing this is to try to spread the word about our band. So you guys got firsthand knowledge of my computer abilities. I figure out how to burn 200 CDRs of the Coheed demos. And it's Delirium Trigger in 33.
Whoa.
I don't even play. I'm not even playing on the songs. It's my friend Nate.
That's so sick.
Badass drummer. But he quit the band and I stepped in, called him first. I had the foresight and the maturity at 19 years old to know to call my friend Nate and get his blessing. I said, I'm not doing this unless you say it's okay. And he was like, I'm done. Absolutely. He probably regrets that now. But Nate, we love you.
I love this.
Just was at the show in Riverside like a week ago. He just came out to the show. It's all love. But who knows? Because of this story, they might not even have got a deal if it wasn't for me. Because I go out on that tour and I hand that CD out. The singer, by the way, the band that I'm on tour with is maybe it's the worst band of all time, dude. It was awful.
So you were with another band passing out, but you had the Coheed demos.
Yeah, I went out with these guys on my first tour ever. 5 guys I don't know.
Wow.
And I get in an RV. We have an RV, but it's not pimped out. It's like you can see the road through the floor.
Yeah.
Like there's a hole in it.
What year is this?
1999,
Oh, shit.
maybe 2000.
Okay.
2000. Wow. No, it's 2000.
Okay.
It's 2000. Because what? Second Stage Turbine Blade
2002.
2002.
Yeah, 02.
Okay, so it's 2000. Maybe it can't have been 2001, but maybe it's that around that time.
Sure.
I'm like 19, 20. Yeah, so I go out, but I'm not in this band. I'm just doing this. They had heard of me through whatever. They had done some songs up at Applehead Studios. And the singer of that band, the name of the band kind of clue you into how bad they were. The name of the band was Method of Groove. It's the fucking worst. Come on,
it's
dude.
kind of sick too, though. But yeah,
but that's a name you can't forget. So I guess it's effective. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's a good name because there's no way you're forgetting Method of Groove.
Yeah. Well, listen, what do I know? But in my world at that time, I'm like, yo, this is brutal. But you weren't there for the conversations where they were like, it seems like punk rock's really moving units. Maybe we should be MOG 41 or whatever, like with a number after it. And I was just like, yo, these dudes are fucking whack. The band sucked. It was like they had, here's our metal song. Here's our punk song. Here's our like radio rock ballad. And they literally would write these songs like, well, I listened to the radio the other day and there was a song like this. I think this song will really move units. And it's just, I'd never made, even though I'm coming from like this major label kind of realm, I'd never made music like that. I'd never been like, felt really ugly. But anyway, all love to those guys because the singer of that band heard the Coheed demos and was like, I'm getting you guys a record. And we're all like, oh, yeah, whatever. Everybody's about to get you a record deal.
Right.
So we're like, whatever. And he fucking did it.
Wow.
So he walked into Equal Vision and he was so cocky when he walked, because now we're so close with the Equal Vision guys. They tell us, we were like, we hated that guy so much that we're like, we have to listen to that. Because he walks in. He's like, it'll make you mad how good looking he is. He's like one of those guys. Yeah, you get it, you fucking Reed, you're kind of in that world.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
So actually, you know what? Fuck all of you guys. You guys are all really handsome. He's like one of those guys that'll bother you how good looking he is. It's like, where do you get off? So he walks into Equal Vision and he says something like, I'm holding the most important band of this century. And they're like, oh, shut the fuck up, dude. And so they put it on and they just clown the hell out of it. Everybody's making fun of it.
Oh,
Dan
shit.
is like, no. This is fucking wild, dude. What are they called? Shabooty? Oh, Jesus. Yeah, what right do I have to make fun of a band name? I'm in Shabooty and Coheed and Cambria. Here I am making fun of Method of Groove. Jesus. A little bit of self-awareness. But anyway, Dan is the one who really pushed that through. But it was not like the whole label was on board. Kurt and Bill got on board.
Okay.
So it's Kurt and Bill, who are all still there at the label. And Bill, Bill's so paramount in all that early imaging, the key work, the Dragonfly.
Sick.
That's Bill.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
really
I
cool.
think Claudia would say like, hey, I helped guide him and I wouldn't want this to be a source of tension with me and Claude, but like, I don't hear Bill get enough credit. That shit was Bill.
Yeah.
He created that. And I wish we were louder about that.
Yeah.
Because why not? Bill crushed it for
Yeah,
us,
that's
man.
cool.
And Equal Vision took a chance on a band that it was no sure thing. Dan was just saying the other day to me, he's like, I was talking to somebody from Victory and they were like, we were close to getting Coheed, but they chose you guys. And Dan was like, were there other labels? No, nothing.
Yeah.
We were never did anything.
Yeah.
There was no other label.
That goes back to the stories having changing. They could just decide like, oh yeah, we were close to getting Coheed back in the day. Like they could
Yeah.
just tell that story.
Revisionist
Who's going to
history.
question it?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, they have. Like, they're like, man, we were so close on Coheed. I never even heard of Victory. I got close on Coheed. What?
Yeah.
But Equal Vision took a chance, and I don't think anybody could have drew it up like that.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
just early on. It was clear, like, hey, something's kind of, and then we pulled our end of the bargain too. Like it's funny. Like I said, Equal Vision, it wasn't what it is now. It's 6 people in a shed in the back of Steve Reddy, who owns its property, and they would say to us, hey, we like these 2 songs. Go record 2 more. So we, with our own money, we go to this kid's bedroom in Jersey and record 2 more. But we were like, they're just demos. There's a little mistake. We had an hour to do the drums. Fuck it. It's good enough. Whatever. It's just a demo.
Yeah.
They would say, all right, we like these 4 songs. Let's hear 2 more.
And they just keep
Same thing. We go and do 2 more songs. We like these 6 songs, but man, we really want to hear 2 more. We're like, shit, we got to write 2 more songs. Like, we're fucking writing. We wrote Never Ender, right? Because we were excited and we're creative.
Wow.
So we put together Never Ender, the song Never Ender.
Yeah.
Put together, like, June Song was around. Delirium was around. 33 was around. God Send Conspirator. We just put the record to get Time Consumer.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Remember Time Consumer, like, it freaked Travis out. He's like, I think it's cool that, like, hip hop beat you're doing, like, sounding like the most fucking country like motherfucker ever. But, that was more my school.
Yeah.
It was like, I came from, like, I'm playing with the dudes in P-Funk and
Right.
shit.
Yeah,
Here I am in this rock band. Like,
I was going to ask, like, why do you think it was, we were talking about this earlier. It's like, maybe this is my own, I grew up in, in the middle of nowhere, and maybe it was my, like, misunderstanding of everything, but I feel like you guys got lumped in with the New York, Long Island emo hardcore stuff. Do you think that was just because you were on Equal Vision and that was what was happening, or
Because it's not,
because you're pretty, I feel like, you're like,
you guys are your
like a
own
rock
thing.
prog thing. Like you don't, there's no connection really to that stuff. I don't.
Yeah. The only connection is that we toured with those bands and made friends with them. And now that's the connection.
Right.
But no, there was no real, like, I'll admit it. Second Stage, more than the other records, our first album, more than the other records, has some kind of, like, pillar scene things. After the fuck, like, just there's certain and it was let's say this, it was our most punk.
Yeah,
sure.
And I think there was a lot of influence from certainly at the drive-in, but like that world, but that was quick to kind of melt away and on to like the more kind of neo-classic rock things. Jordan, that's a really great question though. And you're spot on. It was just the Equal Vision thing, and we needed a place to belong. It wasn't by design like that. It was like, hey, these bands are touring.
Right.
it just happened.
They checked it out. Thursday says, hey, they like this demo. They're going to have you tour with it. Like, we're like, what? That blew my mind that this band Thursday that I'm like into, mind you, again, major label kid. Claudio's name for me back in the day was like, I used to call me just like Top 40 Josh. That was his name for me. Because I like, so at 20 years old, whereas like most punk kids grew up like going to VF, I just learned about this.
Wow.
And it blew I'd been searching for it my whole life. I'm always late to the party, just like this podcast. I'm late to everything. But like, I eventually get there, but I fell in love. I didn't know there was like VFWs and basements with 300 kids screaming together. And I've been searching for that my whole life. Like, it's so ironic too. I'm by far like the most punk rock motherfucker in Coheed by leaps and bounds. Like, but
hey, better late than never.
Better late than never. But those years, I think we got just kind of tied like to them from touring with them. But yeah, we were the kind of odd man out. We were certainly kind of aware of that, but we were always treated. I say thank God for that.
Yeah.
Thank God that we were able to be kind of adopted by something that was happening that was way bigger than us, that we could be a part of, because there was some real camaraderie. Thursday, Thrice, Taking Back Sunday. These were bands that like helped us immensely. Thrice, I mean, they like took us under their wing. My first time ever on a tour bus was Thrice's bus, and they let me sleep over. For all I know, that was going to be the only time I was ever on a tour bus, you know? And those guys are like etched into my heart forever. I love those bands deeply, and we remain friends to this day. So thank God we got adopted by a scene that we kind of weren't really a part of. Yeah, people still to this day, they're like, so you guys are from Jersey, right? Or Long Island, right? And it's like,
I mean, I thought that.
Yeah, so did I.
You have to be the biggest band ever with members from like Kingston, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be.
For sure.
oh, man, I sure hope so. We're talking about a city of like 28,000 people. But yeah, it's funny too. Our first few years of touring, like, I don't know if Claude was like embarrassed to be from Nyack, but he used to for years say, we're Coheed and Cambria from Kingston, New York.
Oh,
and I always love that because we're kind of from, we all live in different places, but to me, that just speaks to like the communal DNA of music. Like, how else would kids that are 14 years old meet other kids from an hour away,
Sure.
But music kind of, and the town of Woodstock, which, it's much different now, but musicians would just kind of come there just to check it out. And that's what Claudio would do. Think about the balls of that kid, 14 years old, jumping on the bus, taking it an hour north, skipping school just to walk around with his guitar, with his little afro, walking around, fucking Claudio. And I thought he was from Woodstock. He was always there. And then he started a band with some guys from around there. I think about that now as a 44-year-old, and I'm like, wow, man.
Especially then with like pre-sale, like if you wanted to go somewhere, you had to like, I would use like MapQuest or like the first tours. You're like, you actually have like the Rand McNally like spiral atlas, and it's like that was like
AAA,
you know, that kind of stuff probably happens more now that like kids can get around and they have phones and shit. But back then it's
to just head out there.
Yes, but I mean, I give him a lot of credit for that. And like he was, you know, everyone I knew was in a band. There was 70 bands.
Jeez.
We were all, you know, the shows at the like community center with, you know, when my band 3 would play, there's 800 to 1,000 kids there. Now, I didn't know that this was almost like what was happening out there in the van touring world. I thought this was like so unique to us. So kind of when I heard the Get Up Kids, when I heard At the Drive-In, when I heard Thursday, the shit really changed my life. And all of a sudden, so I get into Full Collapse. And then like, I don't know, a month later in my mind, maybe it was 2 months, but it was quickly after, we're playing with Thursday.
Crazy.
It just, I remember thinking like, this feels like, and they were nice to us. They were so kind to us.
Those dudes are cool.
So when you talk about just the scene from before and kind of not being a part of it, that's how we felt part of it. But we were very aware that we were kind of the odd band out in a way, but we got love for that. And then, you know, over time, I think the band and management made a very concentrated effort to kind of separate from that world, which I always felt like, why? I mean, we can do that, but let's not cut it completely out. Like I have love for our Warped Tour days. I have love for like, that's why now we're doing When We Were Young Fest. And like, I think it's dope to honor your past. And like, you know, there might have been, if we're being real, right? If we're going to be totally real, there's a time that music became like, people were almost like embarrassed
like a
to
parody
say,
of
like, yo,
itself.
I like Taking Back Sunday. I'm not, dude. There's so much about me that's embarrassing. That's like 11 on the embarrassing list. So I don't give a fuck, dude. I love Taking Back Sunday. I love it. It's not a guilty pleasure. I love that band, and I love those guys. But there was a time, like culturally, it was the biggest shit. I remember thinking, like, you know, Coheed had kind of landed in, you know, maybe at the height of our kind of mainstream whatever happened for us, but so did so many other bands. Like that thing had landed. And my friends, little brothers and sisters, I remember that were in high school. I remember thinking like, oh, well, in school, those kids must be, you know, the creative kids, the outcasts. And then we picked up my friend's little brother and sister from a party once. And I was like, wait, you guys are like popular and have friends, and everybody had like emo haircuts and mascara on. And that's when I realized like, oh, this shit entered the like cool kids are listening to it, which I don't know how I felt about that, honestly. Like, you know, there's a certain outsider aspect. Like this is for us, but it spoke to a lot of people. And I think that only speaks to the power of music 100%. And that I'm fine with. I remember talking to Thursday when they like, you know, we were a brand new band, and Thursday was really in the beginning of their moment of really like landing and all this press and all this stuff that I never really thought I'd be around it. And they too were like, yeah, there's a lot of like dudes with white hats at our shows now, and they just weren't sure. They didn't say it was either bad or good. They're just interested, you know, like as their audience grew. But I think ultimately they were probably into it, and I was too. I want our music to speak to anybody that's open to it, and I think that's probably true for all.
You guys specifically, I think it's cool that you can do the When We Were Young Fest, but then you can also do the tours with Incubus, and that's what you really do straddle both worlds pretty successfully.
Which is tough, and it's cool
super
thing
tough.
that you could do.
Yeah,
because usually, like once you are in that world, it's so hard to
break
get out of it, and whether you want to or not, that is just the reality of that world. So I agree. I've always thought it was so cool that y'all have seemed to be in that, but then you could also be over here, and it's like everyone was just down for it, which I think is a huge rarity, especially from that era and going into current, you know, music. It's a tough one.
We're fucking lucky, Nate. I mean, really, dude, we're so lucky. I don't think we could have actually drew that up. I think there was a time, and to be perfectly honest, I think a lot of it. So when I left Coheed, when things got so ugly and so bad, I think the real time was 2007. That's when it was like, okay, we're done. I'm out. and they were playing with somebody else. They went and did Warped Tour. I think they were kind of like, all right, if we're going to start over, we're going to go back to our roots here and we're going to go do Warped Tour. After that, I think it continued. They went out, they did Slipknot, they did Linkin Park. Yeah. They did these huge arena tours like as an opener. But according to those, they feel like now that it was premature. Well, I'll tell you, it was not like when we just did the Incubus thing, according to them. But which is, I'm not like happy to hear that, but at
you weren't there, so you're like,
didn't feel premature. I know. I try to not be a shitty person, like, but a little bit, I'm like, that's motherfucker. But it's not that.
No, I feel you.
Josh, on that subject, there was a time that you left the band. I know sobriety is a big part of your story. I was curious, just what led you to ultimately get clean and then come back to the band. And if you have a thought to finish, feel free. But that's just one thing I wanted to hit on, if you don't mind talking about it.
No, I mean, I'm glad. I think it's hard to kind of streamline these things that you could go on and on about. And believe me, I've had a lot of practice because there's a lot of sifting through my own shit to kind of land on these, somewhat homogenized answers because I have to kind of. But why did I leave the band? I think a lot of deep fear. I think insecurity had met a way out of control heroin addiction. And the only way that I knew how to function was to get high. And it's so lame. I just want you guys to know, I know how lame it is, but the truth of the matter is, and I think there was like a piece of me was like, well, that's a tried and true rock and roll thing. The fucking rock and roll.
No, definitely.
And I really leaned into it, as lame as that is. But then when I'm alone with my thoughts and over all these years, why? Because I was afraid, dude. I remember like we're playing on TV on MTV once, and I was on coke, which I didn't really like coke, but I just do my body weight in coke because it was there. But like, I mean, literally, I was buying $30,000 rocks of cocaine. Like it was, but I didn't even like coke. Like it just was plentiful and around. You could never not get it. But my shit was dope. And I'm on both at MTV and I'm just walking around backstage telling the band that I'm the best drummer they'll ever play with. And they're like,
the fucker.
No, shut the fuck up, dude. And I'm like, I had the nerve to get mad at them for telling me to shut up. I'm so blind and lost. But why? Right? Here I am. I'm alone, empty and alone with my thoughts. Why did I do that? Because I was so afraid of being found out that I'm not the best, that I was going to cut it off at the pass
before they could.
And very coke fueled tell you I'm the best over and over and over. And I really have a lot of, those guys had more than patience with me. I always say, man, they should have fired me 4,000 times. Yeah. They didn't. They wouldn't fire their brother, Josh. Yeah. They just wouldn't. It was more like, dude, we think you might need help. And I was mad about some of the direction of the band too. And I didn't know how to communicate that. Like, we're on tour and like the story elements of the band they're overshadowing the music. And I was so deeply like hurt by that. But instead, I don't know how to use words like deeply hurt. Instead, it comes out like, yo, those dudes are bitches to my gangster friends in New York. And they're like, yo, fuck those dudes. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? Yeah. Those guys. What the fuck do they think they are? And I just had no communication skills with myself. Well, I didn't know how to, I didn't know how to look at myself and be, hey, what's really upsetting you? I couldn't even face that. And here was this drug that made everything feel better for any junkie will tell you that. Like, and it just had run out of control. And ego, I think I thought in my mind that like, I got this band a record deal. I came from a major label because when we first started, like I had a lot of respect in that outfit because I had come from Universal Records. I had seen things. Yeah. Like it's pretty. I played Woodstock 94 when I was 14 years old on the main stage. I'd done these things that like had got, my friends really respected like where I came from in that way. And like as a player and as a musical mind and like I kind of, my ego had run amok and I thought that I was just going to do. Not for nothing, I did get hired by Gym Class Heroes right out of Coheed and Cambria as their percussion player. But their manager was like, I'm not bringing that motherfucker on tour. I got hired and fired. But thank God, dude. If me and Travi got together at that time, I have a feeling neither one would be here. I just know it. I'm telling you, we'd both be dead. We would both be dead. The last time we hung out, it ended with Travi getting carried out by his friends. And I know his bandmates in the band were like, yeah, we can't bring this dude around Josh. And here I am, like, so oblivious to the danger. I'm like, oh, Travi's fucked up. Oh, it's awesome. You know, a fucking idiot. Thank God he's still here. I got a lot of love for that guy, man. Like, I met him and I knew he was a star. Like, I think we all did. I met this tall motherfucker walking around Warped Tour, just like Coheed, handing out his demo. This is pre-record. It's probably how he got a record deal. And I'm like, this seems like my kind of dude. We get to talking because I have a bunch of rap records out and shit. We exchange numbers, flip phone days, and he hits me up and we're friends. Like, he's friends with our merch guy, my brother Kwame. We make buddies. So my rap group toured with Gym Class Heroes. They opened up for me, sadly, which is
this Weird Science? Your project?
Yeah. You know, I'm a Kingston. I know. I have eyes that you see before you, a mild-mannered, middle-aged guy, but don't get it twisted. I'm from the street. Travi, I knew he was a star. I was like, that dude is a star. And I was like, it's the one time I was right. I'm like, yes, dude, he did it. Like, he fucking did it. I love that dude. I'm so overjoyed that he's alive and here and creating. And I'm just always rooting for my friend Travi. Always.
I'm sure he feels the same way about you.
Yeah, no, he got me the job, dude. He was like, yo, you're not in Coheed. You want to come play percussion? Can you shake a fucking shaker? I'm like, oh, dude, I'm actually really good at probably better percussion player than I'm a drummer. He's like, boom, you're hired. But I think probably his band and manager.
Bad influence at the time.
And thank fucking God. But again, Reed, longest answer ever, dude. Ego was such a big component. And, you know, it's hard. This is a lot of bad. It takes a lot to say, oh, I wouldn't change it because it led me here, but I wouldn't, dude. I don't know that I get to a place where I learn how to like be honest with myself. It's a hard thing, like not just with other people, but with myself. Like, and one day it like just clicked, and a lot of like atonement and forgiveness, and that's why I run a drug outreach program, because junkies are my people, and I know feeling so down in the hole that it's unfixable. How could anyone ever fit? That certainly was me. I mean, how could anyone? I went from hometown boy made good in Kingston, New York, small city. It felt good. I never was like very cool. So I felt cool. I felt like handsome, like girls way too good looking to ever talk to me were talking to me. And I felt I needed that. Like I'd never experienced that, and it's like, I have eyes. I'm not like the ugliest guy in the world, but like I felt so all the things I ever wanted to be, and then it was like, it just kind of spun out of control, I guess. And like, instead of focusing on the work and the art, the things that were always the most important thing to me, all I cared about was sitting in my hometown, being Mr. Cool with a bunch of people that literally, if I died, would probably just throw me in a dumpster and steal my drugs on. Like, it took a lot to realize that. And I'm glad I did, because I don't know, it's cliched, but I don't know that I do get here where I am today without having to really eat shit. And I ate the shit. I never thought I'd come back to the band.
I was going to say that's not, I think that's the story of you, them welcoming you back and you rejoining is like pretty specific to you. Cause I feel like that's not something that happens. Like, no, I feel like when people are, when there's a, I mean, it's amazing that they had you back and it's, still going.
Which might be, from the small aspect of how y'all started, like you said, like actual brothers, like actual, like best friends. And that if it is that is how it should be. But you're right, Jordan, that's not a normal story. Usually it is like, yo, man, like messed up our career or whatever that they could, in a situation.
Well, I think a lot of times it's like, you need help, you're out of the band, and then they move on. So even if you get clean and come back, they're like, we're still your friend, but we moved on
else
and,
or whatever.
They're also playing with like one of the best drummers on the fucking planet. Like, I couldn't play Chris Penny shit with Dillinger if I had 9 arms, dude. Like, I don't even know if is that even drumming anymore? He's like transcended drumming to something else. I mean, I know nowadays it's just like drum Olympic shit anywhere, but Chris Penny was like a real innovator. And, but like what I do, it's not going to wow you with the speed, but I think when you play with songwriters love playing with me, dude, and there's, it's not I really think it's a testament to when I reached out to those guys, I had accepted truly. And I know they believe this. I think a lot of people don't. I think a lot of people naturally kind of put themselves, we always kind of transcend how we would feel in that situation. They think, oh, no, you were going back for your spot in the band. It's really not true. I'm an honest man. It's not true. I had accepted it was over, and that was okay. I wanted to tell the guys, imagine like doing this thing together that no one really gets to do, right? Like we did it. Like,
tiniest percentage,
it's almost impossible, right?
Yeah,
It's not impossible, but it's
100%.
almost impossible. And we did it, and we did it together, for better or worse. And there are so many good times. There were some bad times too, but I missed my friends, and I knew that I had let them down deeply. I knew that I had, dude, like Travis had just bought a house when I was like, fuck this, I'm leaving, I'm out. And we're in Europe at the rehearsal space. They get me to fly to Europe. I make it a half a rehearsal. And I'm just like, but in reality, I'm actually starting to get sick from dope, but I don't know how to tell them. They know that I'm a drug addict. I should have just been like, guys, I'm in too deep.
Yeah.
I fucked up. We got to get me some methadone. I need something. I got to get something. I'm going to be sick. And this isn't, I don't know if any of you guys have experience with dope or opiate addiction. Sick is the word we use. I guess it's probably the best word, but it's more than sick.
Yeah.
It's something else, man. And for me, and I think this is like pretty, I was always like really jealous of people that were skinny that would kick dope because I have so many like body issues that the kicking dope also came along with the reality of, oh yeah, I hate my body and I hate my face and I hate my eyes and I hate the way I look and I hate the air. The air has a taste. Skinny junkies also taste the air, but I was always like, there's so much body. It's all my real life stuff.
Well, it's amplified when when you feel like shit, it's amplified. Yeah.
Totally. But I've learned over the years, that guy, I'm jealous of his real life shit coming up too. He might, we're all the same, but like, that's what was happening in Europe when I walked away. But I never even thought about my friend Travis, and Claudio bought a house too. But Travis had literally just closed. It's a big step for a 27-year-old guy to buy a house. And twas not a cheap house. It's like, this is, I don't want to buy like a mansion, but like this is a big step. And we're about to go out on our biggest European tour ever. This is like, I mean, in a lot of ways, I think we still feel the echoes of me walking out on that tour. Like Reading and Leeds, we still can't really get on those sets. You don't fuck around with Reading and Leeds.
So did they have to cancel the tour?
Yeah.
Did they find another drummer?
They canceled. They canceled the tour. They went and did, I think they tried to do one or two of the shows. Yeah, it was really, you want to talk about the most selfish. And then my own kind of like self-preservation, I blamed them, but horrible. And it took years, dude. It wasn't like a week later. I was like, wow, I fucked up. No, years it took. So when I think of all the damage for them to invite me back, I think they felt the reality of I think they felt the pureness of, if I reached out to them to be back in the band, it would not have happened. But I had truly accepted that it was over.
Come back.
I wanted to say to my friends that not only was I sorry and really sorry, not the like, we throw that around a lot, like deep in my heart, I almost threatened this for them. All that work I threatened, and I was aware of that.
Was there any line of communication between you guys during that time, or was it just out of the blue? Okay.
No, zero. We didn't talk for like 4.5 years. I think we would keep tabs on each other. I think there's a lot of hurt, I know there was on my end. I went to go see, so Coheed and Slipknot are playing at Madison Square Garden. And I'm like, well, it's the Garden. They're not going to see me. They're not going to look out at 20,000 people and be like, oh my God, there's Josh. So I know some people, the guy that works at the studio used to work for WWF when it was WWF Wrestling, which would be done at the Garden. And he knows people that work at the Garden. And we get walked into backstage. The elevator door opens. It's fucking Claudio. And I just...
That was one of those moments.
Yeah. And of course, Claudio looks up and he goes, Jesus Christ. Like he couldn't believe what was before his eyes. Backstage at Madison Square Garden, there's me looking like shit, too. Just like, it was a rough few years. And I didn't know how this affected him at the time. I put my head down. I didn't say anything. I just put my head down. And that, I think, really affected him. sure he was thinking about it
Yeah,
while he was playing, because he went back to the guys like, fucking Josh is here. I just wanted to go see them. I think that was the beginning of me honoring some of that time with Coheed and saying like, wow, we really kind of did something special. And I was a fan of the music. Like, I really enjoy what we do.
You coming back into the band, and you're just the way you play. And we talk about this all the time. You know, people can come in and, you know, play your parts and fill in for you, but at the end of the day, your playing is a huge part of that band. Right. And it's I mean, I don't know, I when I listen to that stuff, I feel like you're kind of like the only one that can truly do that part of the band, you know?
Yeah, man, it's all by design. I'm such a fucked up weird drummer that I've made it like a real impossible task. Yeah, because they're so wrong. And
I mean, Chris is like, he's an incredible drummer, but at the end of the day, we've talked about this too. You know, just because you're an incredible drummer doesn't mean you're the right fit for something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or even it's exactly. It's so much bigger than just technical or talent or whatever. It's like once you hear, you know, with you playing and how you wrote those parts and the subtlety things that you do, like there's just nothing like, I mean, not to say that no one can ever be replaced, but there is something special about that
I know.
Especially with how close you are, how y'all did that, like all of it.
I think when you spend time in a room with somebody for so many years writing music, there is a shared, and of course, obviously every musician knows, there's a shared language that's developed. Mm-hmm. And I think even if it's a guy like Chris is obviously a bananas drummer, he's coming into a room with a bunch of other guys who have a shared language that he doesn't have with them. Correct. And so they might make something amazing, but there is that the original magic is it's changed. It's different now.
Yeah.
And so when you come back in, it goes back to and people it's like a big sigh of relief, I think, for fans to go like, that's what I remember. You know, it's like, I love that record, but like, this is what I want, you know. It's like, that's it.
Yeah, no, for us too, Jordan. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. So like all this messiness gets put behind us. Those guys reach out, and like I had told the manager, I said, hey, if those guys ever wanted to talk. And I had kind of like, they wouldn't have just come around. They had kept their tabs on me. I had joined another band.
Was it Terrible Things with Fred?
Terrible Things, Reed. You're one of 7 people that know that band.
Fred's one of the best people ever.
Yeah, no, Fred, you know, Fred's one of my best friends. I owe Fred so much. He would scoff at me saying, but I do. Fred really took a big chance on me, dude.
Well, like, he was a instrumental part in advocating for Coheed in the early days, from what I understand. He took you on one of the first tours, and he's just a great human.
I know.
Yeah.
The first tour. Fred's a great friend of the band. You know how it is, and like the whole band is friends with somebody. Yeah. That's Fred. But me and Fred have a really special relationship. And Fred, I know from talking to him, many people were like, Josh ain't the one, dude. Don't do this to yourself. I definitely lied to him and told him, I'm 2 years clean, but
you were not.
It was the beginning of the end of drugs. I may have been doing this. I look at it now as kind of the death of that addiction, but it would be like shoot up here and there, get out, get on Suboxone, get everybody off my back, go 6 months without doing it, shoot up, like this off, you know, feel the guilt of why did I do that? And like, maybe that had to happen. I think it was around that time that I get this call from Fred. And I just kind of used the word 2 years. And I've talked to him about that. I wasn't like actively using it. I was like at Fred's house shooting up, but it wasn't. I was figuring out. So I show up to Fred's house. I'm 100 pounds overweight. I'm sweaty and weird, and just I'm not formed yet. I don't know what I am. And Fred and that band, the whole experience really helped me become those long nights of in a van with Fred up till 6 a.m. talking, watching the sun come up. Have a lot to do. It's like a lot of clarity I found. And also a friend who wasn't in his famous band anymore. Me and him shared that. Right. There's not a lot of people that really understand like now Fred, obviously his situation is different, but there's still like, there's parallels in you know, where the humanity of it. Yeah. Selfishly, I wish so badly that Fred would play with Taking Back Sunday again. I don't mind saying it. I think it's perfect for Taking Back Sunday. I think you have John, you have Fred, the dude is Sean. Who's the guy that fills in? Not Sean, the bass player. What's his
Nathan.
name? The guy that fills in.
Nathan.
Nate. Yeah. Don't get rid of Nate. You do not get rid of Nate, dude. Nate goes nowhere. Nate's there too. And you do like a tour where there's a real human element. I'd love to see fucking, oh shit, at the New York show, Eddie comes out. Like, I just want everybody to get along is essentially what I'm saying. But Fred like came around, dude. Like, I'm like beating the drum for TBS, and Fred's just like kind of like, oh, you know, dude, Fred sticks to his ideals and his guns, man. You got to respect that. And he sacrificed a lot, but like, yeah, here I am back on a major label. The Coheed guys heard about that, and I'm sure they were like, okay, so there's no way he's in a band with Fred Mascherino. He's still on drugs. Hey, you guys saw Josh. How's he doing? And they would kind of keep their tabs, so to speak. And that, I'm sure, they found out I was doing 2 shows a day on Warped Tour. And they, at some point, they said to themselves, like, oh shit, man, like maybe Josh is better. And then their manager tells them, actually, I did talk to Josh, and he said if you guys wanted to talk, that he would love for you to reach out. And to my total shock and surprise, they called me, and they came to my parents' house, and we talked. But it was pretty quickly back to three old college buddies that, hey, like, I'm pissing in the bathroom, and Travis turned the light out on me, like, and ran off. I'm like, what the fuck? We're friends, you know? Then we're at this restaurant outside of Kingston because we didn't want anybody to see us. We just wanted to talk. And we're like, yo, that band 3 that I was in from before, they're on Metal Blade, and they're making a record at Applehead, the studio my father built that Coheed had done a bunch of records in. So we just show up at the studio, and again, though, the bigger point here, if it wasn't about healing and friendship, I think they would have felt that.
Yeah.
Well, they know you. They know you better than anybody probably at that point.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? Could you imagine, like, if they're like, yo, so we're getting along so well, Claudio, on the ride to the studio, he's like, yo, we want to play you some new Coheed stuff. I'm like, dope, dude. Like, let me check it out. And they're playing it. And I think it's what became the song Gravity's Union in like a different form. And I didn't even realize I'm doing it. I'm just tapping along. And now I wouldn't have known this then, but they've told me about it since. When we said goodbye and got out of the car, I got out of the car, peace, hugs, goodbye. Travis and Claudio got back in the car, and Claudio was like, how do we get him back?
That's love, man. That's awesome.
Oh, dude, that's so sick.
And I was I was so moved because part of it's so lame, dude. I think I also kind of left. I don't know. I wanted them to move heaven and earth to get me to stay. I needed that or something, which is totally not on them. That's so on me, you know, like, but you feel so forgotten when a band is like, hey, dude, like, we can function without you. It's like, oh, it stung. And it was a hard, deeply humbling lesson for me. And you're never going to get me to like make like I think some managers think all drummers can be replaced with just like a fucking computer, but you're never going to get me to go that far. But like, I think they secretly wish they're like, this computer, we don't have to pay anything. We just fucking hit play and it's great. It's perfect time.
Drum machines don't ask for royalties.
Bass players.
Word,
sure.
yeah. Bass player. Oh yeah. But whatever. No. But Jordan, believe all this long-windedness, or Reed, when we got together and actually played again, it was so clear, all that history, all that shared energy, all those years were a lot in what we were playing, and it was just a simple little thing, and it was special.
Amazing,
it's special to me. It's special to Claudio. Yeah, you guys know what being in a band is like. It's like wait, and we're talking about a simple 4/4 dead, just the way Claudio hits those ups, and the way I'm kind of like pocketing it, and I look over at Claudio. I've never seen him smile big. And it's real. It's real.
Are you now? Have you been in the band now at post addiction longer than you were pre?
Oh yeah, by far, dude. It's been like, this is the longest tenured lineup of Coheed and Cambria ever. This right now, it's with Zach. Like, to me, you know, I loved playing with Mike. In some ways, in other ways, it was like, you know, me and Mike were very because we were very close. So we were like close enough to argue. But as a player, I don't know that I've ever played with a player as good on any instrument as Zach Cooper, the bass player of Coheed and Cambria. He's a truly unique, special talent. He also, he can live in both worlds. He has a very schooled, music theory, that world. And he's in a band with 3 self-taught players. So he can kind of wear both hats, so to speak. And maybe we need a guy like that around. But Zach, the band, to me, in my mind and heart, the band is Zach Cooper and Coheed. Even though I know we made those first 3 records with Mike, and Mike's place is always in this, like, to me. But of course, dude, it's been, coming up on 14 years here.
So how many years were you not in Coheed?
It's like a good 4.5, I think, around.
Oh, okay. Damn.
So 2 records. I missed 2 records. I mean, you could even maybe call it 5, but I think it's like 4.5, maybe 4 coming up on 5.
Wow.
In 2011, I got a call, but it was late. It was around now, September. There were leaves on the ground. They wouldn't just say like, "Hey, do you want to rejoin Coheed?" They were like, "Hey, man, we heard rumors you're going to do another band." And I was like, "Well, yeah, of course, I'm going to go do something." And they were like, "Well, we had been talking about maybe would you be interested in playing on a record with Claudio?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, of course. Would you be interested in like maybe playing on Prize Fighter?" And I would have been over the moon excited about that. Opportunities
for sure.
aren't everywhere. It's like, okay, I had done this thing. I'm this incredibly weird drummer, but songwriters do love playing with me because I'm not like I can get in there and it's just a different school. Like I came from this school of you don't play more than 3 fills in a song. Coheed to me is very private because I came from this world like, hey, that's your 4th fill, get it out of here. Like it wasn't very private. It was like this kind of somewhat boring kind of world, but
I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, no, me too. Like that world, like that's where I came from. Levon Helm.
Yes.
And I was 12 years old. Levon Helm told me, he said, how many piece kit do you play? And I had to count. I'm 12. I'm like, 5? He goes, that's 3 drums too many. And I was like, this motherfucker plays with a kick and snare. What the fuck? Like, kind of fucking with me, but like, I get that world, dude. There's such a delicate brilliance in that. And, I feel like I'm like the last guy. I love hearing you say that, Nate, because like, Jesus, you get eviscerated for not being like the fastest wrists imaginable on like the drumming elbow page. It's like,
how was that transition going from being simple to playing the more, I guess, busy,
well, fun, but I feel like Coheed, I mean, we have, I could list a ton of songs where it is very understated.
Yeah, definitely.
And isn't it funny? When I came back into the fold, that first thing that really turned us on was just a simple pocket. It was a song called 2 Is My Favorite One, where Claudio's quirky, man. He's throwing these accents in, and like the way my hi-hat goes, it's never just, it's this kind of,
it's swing.
What I would call groovy. Yeah, it's got a swing to it. And when we locked right in, like we'd never not been in a band together. And it was just always all right there. That's it. Because we didn't know. So I'll shut up. I know this has been the longest story ever. They called me. They asked me to play with Prize Fighter Inferno. I'm over the moon. I'm like, yeah, that's great. I go to Claudio's house and it's just me and Claude. And he's like, all right, well, here's the Prize Fighter song. And he's like, and I'm like, this shit don't sound like fucking Prize Fighter Inferno, dude. This sounds like Coheed. What the fuck?
Coheed.
Yeah. So we do that shit. Then we do the and we're just jamming like, a couple minutes here. And that's what really brought it alive. But I left there like, unless Prize Fighter just became Coheed, I think I might be being lied to here. Something so I get a call on the way home and Blaze is like, listen, don't want to say too much, but that wasn't Prize Fighter music. I said, oh, you don't say. Do you think I'm a fucking idiot, dude? He's laughing and he's like, what would you think about rejoining Coheed and Cambria? And I couldn't say the words. I couldn't get the words out because I get teary talking about it still. 14 years. I just started crying. A lifetime of hurt and atonement had led. Yeah. Could this be real? Could this really be happening? And I'm still like, eternally grateful. They didn't have to, dude. They had like famous drummers hitting them up asking for the gig.
Yeah.
And this was before Chris had left. I think the writing was on the wall. So when Chris left, so I was already in the fold. And I think it sucks that it went down like that with Chris because Chris never did anything to me. I think it was all like, dude, it's fucking Chris Penny. He'll land on his feet. He's like the best drummer in the world. But Chris had went and like tweeted like that he's leaving the band, and they were fielding calls from all kinds of famous drummers, big time,
Sure.
famous metal drummers, rock drummers, groove guys were all hitting Coheed. I'm just eternally grateful that they said, wait a second, you're not just forgotten. Something special did happen up there.
Oh, man.
And to be part of it again, my life's mission was to try to make the band the best that I could make it. And that's true to this day. I mean,
man, what an incredible story.
Yeah,
I'm so lucky. I'm just the luckiest son of a gun on earth. And I don't want to spit in the face of that luck. Like I did. If we're not learning, right, what are we doing, right? We're not growing. So,
seriously.
I spit in the face of luck once before, and I vowed to not do it again. So, but I think it's healthy to recognize just how lucky I am. And I like singing those guys' praises in terms of like asking me to come back because they did not have to. And I'm grateful. And I'm grateful because I wanted to be part of my band. You know, this was my band and Travis's band and Mike's band. I didn't mean to. When you would ask that, Jordan, it's just sometimes people are shocked to hear that the longest tenure of the band is by far this lineup. It's been we're coming up on 14 years, man. So it's been a long time.
And it's so cool that the time that you weren't in the band, like, I mean, we would hear it for so much. Like some bands' full careers aren't even 5 years.
Right.
Like the percent of just making it as a band is so tiny. But the length that y'all have and for you to be able to take those 4 years to get clean and then come back and then to do this, dude, that has to be like just the smallest, craziest story that's just beautiful. So I think it's really cool that it just all happened like that, you know?
I'm glad that you say that because I just think it's healthy to acknowledge that the kind of unique space that sometimes it's a little scary. You get a little afraid that some people might just kind of believe that like, their ticket to the top just couldn't be stopped. But no, there's such a huge portion dose of luck and just
big time.
Yeah, then that's okay. That doesn't negate all the work, all the sacrifice, all the sweat and blood and energy. None of that's negated, but let's just recognize like, God, how lucky we are.
Dude, 100%.
We get to rock for this long. And we do. Believe, like in the band, we do. All of us, believe me. Like, we're very aware of how lucky we are.
Even being on this is wild to me. I mean, Reed and I literally like the first time hearing that album that Coheed put out, like I never would have been like, oh, one day I'm going to be chatting with him. Like, it's crazy, dude. Like truly, like if I think back of it, I'm like, dude, like that album came out and it blew everyone's minds. I mean, Reed and I grew up together and we were like, dude, holy shit. Like if you heard this. And so,
but how old are you guys, Reed? You look like you're fucking 23 years old. How old are you?
I'm 35.
I'm almost 40.
I'm 37.
I'm 39.
What the fuck happened to me, y'all? What the fuck? Are you guys serious?
Dude, you look great. What are you talking about?
Dude,
and this is the best I got, too. This is like as good as it gets for me. Like, I'm like one Oreo cream pie away from just saying, fuck it. Because you guys look young. I thought you guys were like in your 20s. No joke. I honest to God, Nate and Reed, I thought you guys were in your 20s. So I'm like, were you listening to this shit when you were 8? Hey, baby.
Hey, listen, like I said, Second Stage Turbine, when I heard Time Consumer, it was just such a unique song. And I had never heard anything like it as far as the technicality and just that groove. And so to Nate's point, just being on this Zoom with you, it's awesome.
Well, I would add to that I think we talked about you guys getting lumped in with the post-hardcore and emo stuff. As somebody who was like fully ingrained in the basement shows world, I think for people like me, that record coming out on Equal Vision, having that label's cosign allowed me to start looking at music outside of the basement punk bands because I heard it and I heard Time Consumer again. It was like I think maybe it was on a comp or something that I'd gotten, and it was like oh, there's no one screaming here, and there's like it's not sloppy, and the lyrics aren't about I'm mad at my dad, and so it was like there was like this weird. I was like all of a sudden I was like oh wait, there's shit. There's cool stuff going on outside of
it. Like unlocked a whole new world.
But Jordan, God, again though, how lucky are we that Equal Vision logo kind of freed people up
just instantly
down, and then having Dr. No from the Bad Brains on the album, in small spaces, kind of earned us. We go out on Warped Tour, and we're the real like kind of sticking out like a sore thumb out of whatever the saying is. Like we're. And we feel it too. Like there's really cool bands that all hang out together and we're already all so awkward. Like we just don't fit in. And then we meet that awkwardness by getting like belligerently drunk or loud. And then people, it's like high school almost, Warped Tour. It's like the oddball high school and we don't fit in even there. We can't even be cool in the fucking oddball high school. Right. But all of a sudden people find out Dr. No is on our record. And then we play with Dr. No in New York.
Jeez.
And I think there was as many people on the stage as out there. So how lucky are we?
Yeah,
and these
that's
things,
unreal.
It was so unreal. And for me, dude, it was such a great, I knew Dr. No for 5 years before I even heard of the Bad Brains.
Oh, wow.
Dr. No was just my dad's friendly friend. I didn't know Dr. No was.
That's crazy.
I was 7 and 8 years old. Dr. No worked at the fruit stand in Woodstock.
God.
Dr. No, I thought, I don't know, he might as well have been Dr. fucking Lettuce. He would sell fruit. He would sell vegetables, and he was my dad's buddy. And I knew that he played guitar, but like I didn't know that he was a legend in certain circles.
Oh yeah.
And then I got to see my friend Dr. No and just really feel the weight of.
I mean, there's a fucking mural of him in the Lower East Side.
Yeah.
No, I get it now, Jordan. I'm talking about it, and here I am. Like I'm aware now, but then I get to feel the full weight when all these bands that we look up to are standing on stage watching our show and Dr. No is up there, and I was so happy. There's a lot of things that connect there. Like that's all that's running through my mind. I'm young, but I'm feeling the weight of my friend Dr. No and seeing like the dudes from Alkaline, the dudes from No Effects, the dudes from every cool band on Warped Tour are like, and I'm just so proud and happy of my friend Dr. No. And like, how cool is that? And really, in reality, people are like, how'd you get him on your record?
Right.
We stopped at the fruit stand and we're like, yo, we come play a solo. And he's like, fuck yeah. But like,
that's incredible.
That's what happened.
Dude, that is such a wild story. I love that we just threw that at the end there. We're just like, what?
So before we wrap, I did want to ask, there was one unique aspect about your playing, and that's that you play open-handed. And for those listening who don't know what that means, traditional way of playing, you got your right hand crossed over your left, playing the hi-hat, and then your left hand hits the snare. You take the opposite approach where it's open-handed. Your left hand is on the hi-hat, right is on the snare. But I just wanted to ask, what led you to start playing that way in the beginning?
Sometimes here I do like a funny joke where I talk about studying the drums for years and then land by design. No, Reed, I had no fucking idea what I was doing. What do you mean? How did I decide? I'd never noticed that a drummer played crosshand.
Were you left-handed though? Is that what led?
No, I'm totally not left-handed. You should see me try to throw a ball with my left hand. It's hilarious. No, I'm very right-handed. I just was a kid that my brother was next door in his bedroom. We grew up in a 800 square foot apartment. We were when I talk about being rich in opportunity, it's because we were very poor monetarily, so rich in opportunity. And my dad is this musician that's just revered in Woodstock and still to this day. And my brother and his friends, my brother's 3 years older than me, they got a band going. So I'm like 10 and his 13-year-old friends, and they're playing. And my father is just like, that's it. I can't take this shit anymore. You need a drummer. And he goes downstairs and digs out a snare drum. And he's like, Josh, get in here. You're the drummer. My brother and dad tell that part of the story. I don't even remember that. My first memory of it is that there was drums there and I wanted to hang out with the older kids. So they reluctantly let my the little brother come and play. And just, again, I never noticed a drummer before. I never noticed that a drummer played traditionally crossed hand like that. Why would that make sense to me, right? You think about it.
It doesn't make sense.
Right. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah. I'm annoyed that I don't play open-handed because if you sit down on a kit, why would you be like, oh, cross it over? So, multiple times a night you can knock your other fucking stick out of your hand. Like,
right? Like, what the fuck? Why?
When that happens to me, I'm like, why do we play this way? Like, I'm always so jealous of open hand because it just makes, and then when you go to the ride, do you play the ride with your right hand?
No, I play the ride with my left hand.
Okay, so it's all, so Dom, okay, so you don't go to right, but you set up right-handed? You just play open.
Yep, kid's right-handed, rake like any other kid.
But rides on your left.
Rides on my left.
Yeah.
And then I tilt it. Everybody always wants to know, why do you tilt it? Really? Because it makes people mad. And they're like, what the fuck do you tilt it for? It started. That's the main reason, honest to God. And also, you guys...
you tilted away from me.
I do. But if you sat on my throne, it doesn't feel tilted.
Yeah.
I promise you.
Yeah.
Every drummer that sits up there is like, holy shit. And sometimes we tilt it a little too far. And I'm like, all right, this is stupid.
Yeah.
God, but... the real reason it started was you can get it in a little closer by tilting it, and it's not hitting that tom or hitting that hi at, because it's all pretty compact. I play with the small kids that Levon.
Yeah.
That's the adults were drilling that.
Yeah.
Levon said that to me, like, Levon was around. My dad was in a band with him, so I got to be around those guys.
Crazy.
And also, though, around those adults making records with them. So I get playing, and I'm playing open-handed, and I can play a little bit. And here's my first memory. I'm playing in there alone. It's the second day I play drums, and my dad comes home from work. I hear the car come in the driveway, and the dog's barking, and I'm just playing, and my dad comes in and just kind of listens, and I'm aware I can tell he's listening, and I'm just playing. Ga, do, ga, do, ga, ga, do, ga. And my dad pokes his head in the door. And I don't want to make my dad sound like a dick, but my dad he doesn't just hand out compliments. He doesn't say, he's a loving guy in his own way. And it's the first time I remember like a powerful compliment from my father. And he said, you have that thing that they can't teach. You have rhythm. It meant a lot to me, and and that kick started. I had never wanted to be a drummer. If anything, I think everybody thought I would be the singer of the band. I was loud and just loud. I just was kind of like the leader in a lot of ways of the friend groups that I was in. And with my older brother, I would often kind of like, well, yeah, just be loud. I think if Joey was here, he'd be like, no, you were just loud. I want to acknowledge that, but that kick started the rest of our lives that day. Within 3 weeks, my dad had us in a fucking $1,500 a day studio, and we wrote 10 songs in 3 weeks.
No way.
They're horrible, but my dad took so much time. He never pushed it on us either. It's just, kids want to mess with stuff that's laying around, and Joey was on guitar, and it's just so funny how that shaped the rest of my life.
For sure.
Okay, I'll shut up. This was really fun for me, guys.
Josh, man, this has been awesome.
Man, thank you
again.
so much.
Thank you so much, man. Seriously.
We'll see you, man.
You guys are so sweet. All right, peace, y'all. Later, guys.